What's going on YouTube and all my boxing fans? I just came across this. It was on October 4th when they actually put this out on First Take. But I want y'all to listen to what Stephen A. Smith has to say, and then I'm going to comment on what he's saying. So let me turn this up.
I'm tired of folks.
He's tired.
Disrespecting the game.
Disrespect.
You know, and it's like these guys have been boxing since they were kids.
Little kids.
To the muscle memory. So you think after all of these years you play football, you're just going to step in a squared circle.
Step right up.
Go against professionals who have been doing this for years.
Years.
The memory you lose the technique. Everything.
Technique.
It is disrespectful.
Is it?
To the game. He's going to go in there. He's going to get his head knocked off. 100% agree.
So
exactly.
You heard what Stephen A. Smith has to say to this. That he's going to get his head knocked off because he's going against people who've been doing this for years as kids. They got muscle memory. They got this. They got that. But here's where I disagree. All men are not created equal. You have people who are going to be better than you no matter how many years you practice. For instance, you could want to be a sprinter. You could sprint your whole life, but you'll never beat Usain Bolt, who could be sitting on the couch, eating popcorn, watching movies, not training at all. He's going to get off that couch and still beat you in a foot race. See, this is what people don't understand, like Stephen A. Smith. And we don't know if Brandon Marshall can fight or he can't fight because we've never seen him fight. We don't know what his attributes are. We don't know what his strengths are. We know he's very fast at foot movement, and he's about, I think he's 6'5", around 230, unless he's put on more weight prior to leaving the NFL. Also, we know that in the NFL, you're going against guys who are roided out of their mind, who are fucking strong. So you got to be able to push people around and take hard hits. So we know his body's used to taking damage when he gets tackled by men who are extremely strong and know how to put 100% of their body into when they hit you and knock you down. Now, I'm not saying that's the same as taking a punch to the face, but when you have all the padding on, you got to figure that's 15 to 20 extra pounds added to what's already running into you. So when you've got guys on average, well, really he's a, wide receiver. So, quarterback's not as big, but still at times you can get hit by guys who are the same weight, 230, but with the pads on, that's 250 plus running into you. So he's used to taking hard hits. Now, does he have a chin? We don't know. Can he throw a proper punch? We don't know. Like I said, we know he's fast, but this whole thing of, oh, you've been doing this since a child, so therefore you're going to win is fucking untrue. It is untrue. There are many people who do many things as a kid who just aren't that good at it, or they're decent at it, or they look good because the competition they're against is on the same level as them, or they're slightly a little bit better. See, I've been saying this for years and years and years. In America, our talent goes to football, it goes to basketball, it goes to baseball. They don't go to boxing. They don't have to fight. They can make more money doing other things, taking less risk of death or injury. Although football is highly injury prone, still, it's not the same. I would say it's overall safer, although you do have a lot more different type injuries, but life-threatening injuries, I think, are a lot more rare. And your brain's not getting battered, although they can get concussions, they can go into comas and all of that. So, I mean, it's still a contact sport, but to me, it's just the health risk for death is lower in football than it is in boxing. With that being said, back to my point. Look at a man like Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was a God-gifted born person. Roy Jones Jr., in my opinion, is the best fighter ever. I love Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is my #1 heavyweight. I believe Mike Tyson will destroy Ali in their primes, and we can get into that if anybody wants to debate that. But Roy Jones Jr., if you could have blown him up to heavyweight and him not lose the attributes he had as a middleweight, nobody would have beat him. He was just so God-gifted with speed, agility, and timing that he could just get out the way. It didn't matter that he did everything wrong. It didn't matter that technically as a boxer, he boxed technically bad. Everything he did was bad, but because he was so gifted, it was good. So therefore, it wouldn't have mattered if Roy Jones boxed his entire life or picked up boxing in his early to mid 20s. He still would have had them God-giving gifts that made him better than the rest. He still would have had the speed that would get him in and out where people couldn't touch him. We don't know what Marshall has for God-giving gifts. We know he was an NFL player. We know he was good. We know that that's where he went, where our most talented people do go. With that being said, the negatives I see for him is he is 35 years old. So, and I say he doesn't have any fighting experience. We don't know how many street fights, blah, 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 he's had in his life. Because even though I don't equivalate street fights to professional fights, it still gives you hand-to-hand experience. Now, the people that you're fighting, if it's schoolyard fights, are not very qualified, but at the end of the day, catchphrase, it still gets you acclimated to fighting. You're getting used to it. And that's a start versus somebody who's never been in a fight in their life and then trying to do it. We don't know his background. I don't know his background. I haven't researched his background. I just came across this and was laughing at the whole notion that just because somebody's been doing something as a kid means that automatically you can't jump into something and be better. Because at the end of the day, again, if your God-given abilities are better than the next person, they're only going to get so good while you can get better. Yes, muscle memory is good. Yes, technique is great. Yes, knowing the ins and outs is something you need to know, but it's not something that you can't be taught. It's not something that you can't pick up. To me, to be fight ready, you can be fight ready within 6 months to a year if you've never fought before in your life. It only takes about 6 months to a year to get somebody actually fight ready to where they can step into the ring. Now, should he go up against AJ, Deontay Wilder, etc. in his first fight? Of course not, because he's got to get in there and test the waters and see how good he is, find out what his strengths, his weaknesses are. So you want to put him against a lower tier opponent. Give him somebody with a decent amateur background. Don't give him somebody that's had 200 plus fights with the majority of those wins, but give him somebody who's had 20, 30, 40 amateur fights, maybe a 50% win ratio. Don't really want to go too much more than that because he hasn't really fought, and see what happens. Now, on the flip side of that, when he's sparring, is he running through his sparring partners? Have they brought any professional fighters in there for him to spar against? Did he look good against it? Because like I said, natural God-gifted ability will beat heart every day of the week. And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, heart is great to have. But when somebody is that much superior to you, this isn't a movie. This isn't Rocky. Your heart is only going to take you so far before their natural ability is going to outdo you, as long as they are consistently training in that area of expertise. As long as they're not completely complacent in doing nothing, they're going to beat you. And that's just the facts. It's the facts of the matter. And I hate when people think just because somebody hasn't been doing it all their life that they can't be successful, because that is the wrong thing, especially when it comes to physicality. Physical. Any physical competition, somebody is born better than the next one. So I think it's a good move. I think he should try it out. We're going to see how good he is at 35. I think it's a little old for him to be getting in there. But then again, with nutrition and everything that we've been seeing, I just heard a commentator, I can't remember the fight time by that, a fighter was in there at 33 years old. This is once thought to be old, but now he's a young kid at 33 in boxing, because you got guys going into their mid to late 40s nowadays, when that was unheard of, and that's due to nutrition. That's due to the better ways that training regimens. It's so many more health-wise that people are healthier. We have more supplements, more vitamins that are giving fighters longer longevity. We have better PEDs that can be hidden from being caught in the piss test that give them more longevity. And I say that because I believe they're all on something like steaks. But anyways, I digress, and back to the point at hand. I think this is going to be interesting to see. So I'm not against it. I don't feel like it's disrespectful to boxing at all. Just like I don't feel like the Logan Paul KSI is disrespectful to boxing. Because at the end of the day, it's two men fighting each other, and that's what boxing is about. It's about a physical confrontation. It's about two gladiators going in there. And as long as they're actually fighting and they're not playing around slapping each other, then how is it disrespectful? Just because he believes he can become the heavyweight champion doesn't mean it's disrespectful. That's what he should do. If he didn't believe he could do that, then he doesn't need to be boxing. Because if you believe you can lose, you're going to lose. There's no problem with having a fear of losing, but to believe that you will actually lose, to believe that you actually can't achieve it, then you've already lost mentally, and there's no reason to get into the ring, which is what I brought up about AJ. If he's mentally weak, he needs to retire. Because it's not the place for your demons to play out in the ring, because then you're hesitant to fire. Then somebody's getting off before you can get off, and they're battering you. But again, back to the point, I think this is a good move. I think this is interesting. I love to see him fight. He probably won't fight till he's 36 years old or close to it. So depending on how he looks, I would say at that age, you just need to accelerate his career. First fight, somebody that's lower tier, some experience, not great experience, win-loss record. In the amateurs, at least 50-50 or lower. Professional, you want to put him in with a guy who has no professional fights, or somebody who's got, I don't know, say 5 fights and they've only won 2 out of 3. You want to put him in there with somebody that you think he can beat just to see what he does. If he looks good, then he needs to be accelerated through the ranks like a Lomachenko. Like, he's too old to be fighting bums the whole way. And I don't mean to say bums, I mean step-up fights. Let's say that. He's too old to do that. So if he looks good, you throw him in there against guys who say 4-2. If he looks good, throw him in there with a guy who say 3-0. You know what I'm saying? You want to keep stepping up, but step up fast. And don't ever go back or stay stagnant with the tier of opposition if he's really trying to go that high. I think, again, it will be interesting, and I like the move. So fuck what these people are saying. They ain't never boxed before. They ain't never probably been in a street fight before, a club fight, bar fight, nothing. So bro, if this is what you want to do, then do it by all means. I'm supporting you. I want to see how it goes. All right, thank y'all for watching. I'm out.